Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Although it is being used online in a way that is meant to say, screw you, Jew. It is being used in a context very directly to say, I hate Jews, and that's almost an online code word. Christ is king is, I hate the Jew.
Is that your view, or why do you say that?
Because you see the people who are saying it, and they're saying it in that context. They're saying Jews are horrible, good, like they're attacking Jews, and they end with Christ is king, to make it sound like somehow there's a biblical basis for attacking Jews. Look, Jesus was a Jew. And by the way, the twisted theology that says Jews are Christ killers, and that's been used to justify anti-Semitism, to justify persecution and murder. Look, as I read the Gospels, Jesus went to the cross willingly. He made the choice to go to the cross, and it was not the Jews who killed Jesus. It was me. It was you. Look, Jesus died for our sins because man is fallen, and the wages of sin is death. And Jesus took on the punishment that you deserve and I deserve so that we could be covered in his blood and receive salvation, not through works, not through what we do, but through the gift of God. And so the idea of blaming the Jews, and look, to be clear, the precise people who drove the nails in Jesus' wrists and feet were the Romans. I don't see anyone being angry at the Italians. They happened to be who was in charge of the government at the time that Jesus was crucified, but it was Pontius Pilate who gave the order. And so I will say the phrase, look, Christ is king, and to be honest, that was not a phrase I grew up with in church, and I was thinking about it the other day. You know, we would say things like Jesus loves you, Jesus saves. That tended to be more. Christ is king is a phrase that seems to have originated online, and it's some of kind of the Groyper folks that it almost sort of invokes images of the crusade, that in the name of Jesus we will conquer everyone else in a way that I don't think is right or biblical.
Which pitchfork in hand and all of that.
Yes.
Yes. Last question real quick, if that's okay.
Well,
please.
I don't want to miss the question you asked right before,
okay,
which is you asked about replacement theology.
Oh, yes, please.
And this is something Tucker and others are pushing. And this is, look, I think this is a heresy. It is a notion that the promises in the Bible that God makes to Israel are no longer valid. The Jews are no longer God's chosen people. And instead, replacement theology argues that the Christian church has replaced Israel and the Jews as God's chosen people, and all of the promises in the Old Testament are now invalid.
So God breaks his promises, apparently.
Yeah. And that, I think that is absolutely wrong. If God breaks his promises to the people of Israel, that suggests that God could break his promises to Christians as well. And I don't believe God breaks his promises.
Ted Cruz. This will be a hard podcast for me for a lot of reasons. The first of which is Ted Cruz just gaslit the entire country and the world. Just gaslit them. There is no replacement theology. Let me tell you what there is. And we're going to have a show today. And, you know, I've been going back and looking at all the anti-Semite, racist, homophobe, all the dog whistles. And there is a general fear right now that anti-Semitism may set in, and the sky is falling. They try to control the narrative and control the public by creating something about what he just said. Christ is king was made by the Groypers. You know what, Ted? Fuck off. I'm just going to say it. And I'm a Christian. You can say, Joe, don't use that word. Well, if you're more offended by that word than you are by a guy telling us that we have to pick whatever he tells us to do or whatever the government tells us to do, and then they use our own faith against us as a beating stick, then you have a problem. I don't. Our entire society is falling apart at the seams. Christ has been removed from every bit of everything we do inside of our community. Has been replaced by art classes that are grooming clubs. They have Satan classes inside the schools because you have to have equal opportunity for children to learn about Satan and learn about God. You're not allowed to pray on the football field. You're not allowed to pray in sports events. You're not allowed to do anything related to God because God forbid you actually do those things. Can you go ahead and just mute that for me real quick so it's not in my ear while I... Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I can just tell you this. Last night I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning and I saw this thing with Ted Cruz and with Tucker Carlson. And so there's a post that I put up. I just want you to see it. This is the post that I put up talking about the panic. When the government tells us what we have to think, and we have Voices of America, they treat us as if we are slaves and stupid. And I will admit there are a lot of stupid people in the world. I mean, the average IQ being 100, let's say that 100 is the median, that's why you have it. And if you're below that median, you're probably just not that bright. And so you can be swayed by someone like Ted Cruz coming in and saying, we have to invalidate everything that's in the Old Testament. Just so you know, the thing that he's referring to is Genesis 12, and it does not say that you have to bless the Jews. It talks about Israel. And frankly, if you go back in time 200 years, it doesn't even say that. And you're talking to a guy that has a heritage that is Jewish and Christian and Catholic, and I'm a mutt. And being able to separate the people inside of Israel, in this country of Israel, and the leadership and what they have done, and the leadership in this country that are faithless, godless, atheistic people that tell us that you have to support them because they're Jews. That's just absolutely 100% absurd. I don't have to support the killing of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. I don't have to support that. And I can also say that I'm not anti-Israel, but this isn't Israel, this is the United States of America. And going out there and indiscriminately bombing areas or people based on their ethnicity or based on the fact that they're Persian or Arab or Muslim, I find absolutely reprehensible. And for you to justify it with the idea that you have to support Israel because the Bible tells you to is an absurdity beyond absurd. Now let me just take you to this Bible verse, which is John 14:6. Let me read it to you. I mean, just so you understand. God didn't actually revoke any promise because God made a promise to the people. I mean, it was before Noah's Ark, by the way. There was 8 people on Noah's Ark. There's 8 blood types. I've been reading all sorts of crazy stuff. It's kind of neat. John 14:6 says that I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Well, see, now they're trying to say that, the Jews didn't actually kill Jesus. The Romans did. So on one side you have saying that people are stupid enough they can't think for themselves. I have to tell them what to think. And on the other side, you have an entire group of people that are saying, oh, yeah, I don't see anybody mad at the Italians. How about we stop bombing the shit out of people? How about we do that? And yeah, I mean, maybe you got your point across, but right now we destroyed all of Gaza. And look, I'm not one of those little freaks that sits in the street either and says, Slava Gaza. But 6.5, 7 hours it took for IDF to actually respond to an incursion then you know that they're in on it. The government was in on it. And it's the same thing we could say about some of the things that have happened, some of the things that have cost Americans their lives in this country or around the world. They knew about it. We are rotted to the core inside of this apparatus of government. And I want to play this for you. This just gives you a little bit more. And by the way, I support President Trump 100%. But if there were serpents that were in the pit, and we had to try to figure out how many serpents, you couldn't tell a head from a tail. Play it.
We may not lobby the executive, but as we were talking about, there was a discussion earlier about Congress being representative to the people. Well, the White House has to be responsive to Congress. And so it's working with, at the time, our friends on the Democratic side of the aisle to apply pressure the way that they know how to an administration, as it will be with this administration. Bob was talking about the people who will get appointed into some of these jobs. Look at the top level, you talk about Marco Rubio and Michael Waltz. Those three people have something in common. They all serve in Congress. They all have relationships with key AIPAC leaders from their communities. So the lines of communication are good. Should there be something questionable or curious that we need access on the conversation to? You never got one of the first candidates I ever met with as an AIPAC professional when my job was to meet with candidates for Congress was a guy named John Ratcliffe. He was challenging a longtime incumbent member of Congress in Dallas. This guy looks like he could win the race. And we go talk to him. He had a good understanding of the issues. And a couple of weeks ago, he took the oath as the CIA director for crying out loud. This is the guy that we had a chance to speak to. So there are a lot, I don't want to call them lifelines, but there are lifelines in there.
There are lifelines in there. You know, I think the truth is something that doesn't need defending. I've certainly never asked anybody to defend me and the things that I've said about Dominion and Eric Coomer and the things that he said on that call. I've never asked anybody to defend me. I've never asked anybody to lie for me. I've never asked anybody to embellish things for me. I've never asked anybody to do anything that would be dishonest, immoral, unethical. I didn't have to do any of that because the truth was enough. But you're asking people in the public who are suffering, $5 gas now, inflation through the roof. Stock market seems to be still doing well. I don't even know how that's even possible. And gold's at an all-time high, silver's on a high. The have-nots are getting poor, way poorer. And we say that we have to now support Israel. This has gotten completely out of hand. This is not what we signed up for. And here you go. This is a AIPAC tracker on X. Ted Cruz is paid to parrot Israeli propaganda. He collected over $1.5 million from AIPAC and their allies. And again, if you had to take Democrat, Republican, you put them on a thing and started looking at what's happening, the people don't matter to these people. We're an inconvenience. And then Ted Cruz, you know, I wake up disgusted every day about this club that keeps going on. Recognizing that I'm running for governor of Colorado and I'm going through this process. But here's what happened when, after he did all this and said all this and pissed all over the American people, he got on a stage in a group of Christians who are pissed off at the fact that we're killing people. Because the Bible fundamentally says, do not murder. And when innocent people die in a political fight, I don't know what else you call it. Play it.
Respectful dialogue.
I will say this, I am saddened to see that some here, not everyone, but some here, most of us, are so consumed with hate that you cannot address your brother. I will say this.
You speak for yourself.
If you will not stand with Israel and the Jews,
No.
then I will not stand with you. Thank you, and God bless you.
If you do not stand with Israel and the Jews, I will not stand with you. He is talking to a room of Americans. Think about what that just happened. Think about what he just said. Think about the strong arm and the bullying tactics of the radical left. And now I can see even more clearly what's happening with our leaders is that they want to just divide us. I have one more post that I want to go through, but I want to tell you this. Yesterday we had two attacks yesterday. We had two terror attacks, one at Old Dominion University who was taken down. His name is Mohammed Baller Jalal, a 36-year-old former U.S. Army National Guard member and naturalized citizen from Sierra Leone. Figures. Opened fire in a classroom and Constant Hall, yelling Allah Akbar before shooting. He killed one person and critically injured two others. There was another incident involving a synagogue in Michigan, and the rhetoric online spread like rapid fire. And people came out of the woodwork to talk about whose fault it is. Now, we have a guest that's going to be on today that's going to talk about refining operation experts and talking about what's happening with gas prices. And the fact we have California, we have deliberate actions in this country designed to actually spike the cost of utilities to make it nearly impossible for Americans to live. That is happening right now. And it's designed to kill our country. It's just to destroy our country. But you got to tell me that I have to support Israel. So I wanted to show you this post. Last night I woke up to Tucker Carlson, and I want you to share this post if you can. Take me to the part about where Tucker said first. No, that's not it. That's not it. A7, that's not it. Apologies to my guest. I'll be there in a second. All right, go to the bottom. Go to the bottom if you would, real quick. And let's click on his so you can see Laura Loomer's deal. Keep going. All the way down. Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens both said everyone needs to know where their local Shabbat is. I said their hatred would lead to people shooting up Jews in synagogues. It would likely end up being a Muslim. The Trump administration must start deporting these Islamic savages from our country. We must start holding people accountable for inciting violence. This is very sad. All right, take that down. Put up Tucker Carlson's deal right behind that, please. So let me tell you what savage means, because I want to be very clear on the definition of savages. Savages are people that would hurt people in their community and do real harm, treacherous betrayals to the people in their community. And if you want to talk about savages, let's talk about the synagogue of Satan and those people who have done real harm to the people in Colorado, California, Oregon, Washington, Virginia. And you know what they all have in common? They're all run by people who are faithless zealots, who hide behind a faith that they deserve no hiding from. And that's not anti-Semitic, that's being honest. That's being honest about what is really happening in our country, that we are captured by a fraternity of cartel members that run a crime family, that run amok on us everywhere. And they want to say it's anti-Semitic. It's not. And what Tucker Carlson points out is that you don't get to just lie with impunity, which is what they did. And this is what Laura Loomer said. I rarely read the filth you published. And I've never responded to it for the same reason I avoid pornography. It's unhealthy, and I don't want to encourage it. But in this specific case, I understand exactly what you're doing. And I'd like to stop it now. I've never said or suggested everyone needs to know where their local Shabbat is, or anything remotely to it. I didn't attack or even criticize Shabbat, an organization I mentioned precisely once in my life. Last week, I said I believe the IDF soldiers in Israel received third temple patches for the uniforms from Shabbat. I believe that's true. Please let me know if I'm wrong. Not that you care. The point of your post is to blame me preemptively for violent attacks on American Jews that you believe are coming. This is an absurd slander, of course. I abhor violence against innocents, which is why I'm disgusted by what Israel has done in Gaza and why I argue against the current war in Iran. As a Christian, as an American, I also vehemently oppose punishing anyone on the basis of bloodlines. The concept of Amalek has no place in Western civilization, certainly not in my country. I am therefore strongly opposed to anti-Semitism precisely as much as I am to the anti-Arab hate you promote or the anti-white bias embedded in the U.S. government and our largest institutions. It's all immoral and indefensible. I believe in the inherent right of the individual because I believe in God. What you're doing divides this country more than you likely understand. I hope you will stop. Now, after I read this last night, I got up in the middle of the night, couldn't sleep. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. And I got some stuff that I need to work through. And so I had to write a response to Tucker. I wanted to put it out there because I wanted people to understand that I'm taking a stand not in support of one or the other, but into the fact of let's just get to the place of humanity. I stand for it. Let's just stop killing each other. We ultimately, eventually have to get to the place where we have conversations and dialogue, but we bypassed all of that and went straight to war. And not to the behest of what is good for America, but what is good for this little country over in the Middle East that frankly has a bloodlust that is unquenchable, not by the people of Israel, but by the leadership of Israel, which is closely related to Mossad, which is closely related to the CIA, which has overthrown over 70 countries around the world with fraudulent elections. Fraudulent elections have consequences that put all of these people in the position they're in the United States and around the world. I said, not sure if you are ready for this. Tell me how you can disagree with this and call yourself morally aligned with God. Tucker talks of absolutism that leads to the slaughter of innocent people, no different than racists that attack blacks holistically or thinking that everyone in India is involved in grifting Americans for Best Buy gift cards. Loomer's words are dangerous. They are tribal and they are evil. There is no superior race, and Arabs, Persians, or even Muslims are not holistically our enemies. Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee, Laura Loomer, and so many others demand blind, ignorant allegiance, not to America, but to a country run by largely diabolical people, tied to other diabolical people who also have held hostage the people of Israel. People that hide behind being Jewish while also stating that they are atheists and unbelieving zealots. Yuval Noah Harari is a gay Jewish man who stated at the Economic Forum that he will and others become gods while proclaiming that God does not exist. This is what we are to follow? Hard pass. I don't stand with the devil, not even for a minute. I don't question President Trump and his desire to stop terrorism or defend our nation from threats. I question the conventional wisdom of absolutism because it does not exist, and there is no club that God created whose foundation is death and destruction, which he would bless and support. I will direct you to a simple Bible verse. Jesus answered, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Tell me where it says anything about denying him and being true north for our nation or the world, for that matter. I'll wait. I just want you to know that at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm still as coherent as I am in the middle of the day. So with that, we have to welcome our guest who has been patiently waiting with me. He is a veteran of refinement operations. He's an expert. So Mike Ariza, he has 35 years experience in California's oil and gas industry. Should be a good conversation about that. And he served as a machinist petty officer, second class in the U.S. Navy, nuclear power program. And he qualified as the North ISOMAX operator at Chevron Richmond refinery. So I just want to welcome Mike back. Mike, welcome to the show.
And no need to apologize. You're covering very important stuff.
It's just a lot, brother. It's just a lot. And thanks for coming back on and talking through, what can only be described as something that's hurting Americans, and that is high fuel costs actually bleed down to high inflation, to high food costs, to it is a thing that can basically choke off a family in America that's already suffering.
Yeah, and in California, they're making definitive steps to cause it to bleed off even faster to the point of catastrophe, to the point of a total national defense issue, not just California, the entire nation. Since we talked last time, the Valero Benicia refinery has gone down in California. That takes us down to 7. Unlike our media was reporting it went down in April, it's going to go down in April. They actually went down at the end of January, just like we had anticipated, and prices began to spike almost immediately upon Valero's shutdown because the ships that are coming in with this fuel from Asia, Singapore, South Korea, and India, and China, we're buying fuel from China now, the fuel that was coming in, our ability to offload those tankers was at its limit. When Valero shut down, we went past that limit. So before the Iranian war even started, California's prices had already went up almost 90 cents a gallon gasoline. So, with Valero going down, we lost 4.3 million gallons of gasoline and about 1.2 to 1.4 million gallons a day of jet fuel and diesel combined. Since then, I'm not sure if you're aware of the letters that have been dispatched to the Air Resource Board and to the governor. First letter came from Marathon, actually came from PBF and then Chevron. And now Marathon has also dispatched a letter basically telling the state, telling the Air Resource Boards, we need to sit down, we need to talk about this cap and invest. It was cap and trade, now it's cap and invest. These taxes that they're putting on the refineries, and all three corporations are telling the state, we either negotiate this or we're done. It's a no-go. We're already bleeding and hemorrhaging too much money. We've been doing this because of your regulations. PBF even cites the shutdown of Valero and what happened in their letter. They said the cost of this cap and invest goes up 400 to 500% over the next couple of years, pushing it to $200 to $300 million that the refineries in the state are having to pay. But the importers selling us our fuel, they don't have to pay any of this money. So the letters in summary say either we get this changed or we're shutting down or we're leaving. So I think at this point they probably have a letter already drafted. They have to give the state a year's notice. I think they probably have letters drafted, post-dated for June 1st, and they're going to slap them on them. And California is going to be down to one refinery, which won't stay here either.
So what's the answer? I mean,
federal intervention, immediate federal intervention on the Defense Production Act and the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution. That's the only thing we can do. That's what we've been calling for with myself and Professor Miche and Assemblyman Ellis. We wrote that report and it was published 6 months ago. That last page calls for exactly what we're asking for. Now, they just started doing that with crude oil production, with the Hondo Heritage and Harmony platforms off Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do us any good if we have no refineries. You're talking a total loss of jet fuel in the state. The thing is, when Valero went down, we saw at that point with the prices going up, we're at our limit of what the state can import off the ships that are bringing it here. So beyond that, you're going to lose 700,000 barrels a day, actually more than that, of crude oil processing. So instead of importing between 15 and 17 million gallons a day of gasoline, we'll go up to 29, maybe 30 millions of gasoline a day. That is impossible. We can't do it. If you can get it made, which is pretty much impossible, you can't get it offloaded into the state. And that's just talking to gasoline. The jet fuel and the diesel fuel, it's like Chevron, Mr. Waltz was saying, that the Richmond refinery up in Northern California produces 60% of San Francisco airport's jet fuel. And then PBF said our refinery in Martinez produces 40%. Well, that's 100%. That's real simple math. So we'll end up in a situation where there's no jet fuel for any airports, military or otherwise. And then you're going to end up in the situation, on with General Holt. It's a logistics issue. The cities have 3 or 4 days of food on hand. And you won't be able to get food in, let alone get to the store. You won't be able to get food into the grocery store. You won't be able to get food in the state. So all hell's going to break loose. The military, and this is the thing people need to understand, Reno, Nevada, Phoenix, the whole West Coast, and the entire nation, our entire national security is compromised.
So how long do you think it takes till all of that settles in? Because I think it's coming. You can see the cracks, the fissures.
Well, exactly. That's why I can explain to I'm going to name names, but one of the news correspondents who was interviewing me and said, you guys keep reporting Valero is going down in April. By the time Valero goes down in April, they're going to have 20 employees down from 480. Today is the day they go off their normal staffing. A lot of people, some people I know, friends, are losing their jobs effective today. And then by the time they keep saying April. Well, by then, a wastewater treating plant, the dock, and a couple of the oil movement tank posts will be staffed. That's it. And the crack started to show when Valero actually shut down on January 31st. That's when they pulled crude oil, and right after that is when prices in the state started to go up because we were at that limit. We were at that infrastructure limit to offload tankers. You could see when I went to pick my wife up from the airport a few weeks ago, you could see tankers just parked out in San Pablo Bay, anchored out there, running their stacks, polluting. You got all these refineries that are polluting that we get the fuel from. But that's where we started to see it, Joe, was we actually started to see it January going into February. I was just watching the prices up here in Northern California jump 20, 30, 40 cents a pop. So that showed right there, we're at the infrastructure limit. Now you're going to shut down every refinery in the state. We can't do it. All hell's going to break loose.
Mike, the suffering of the people in this country has reached an all-time frenzy. We know that the banking system is given better rates to certain people based upon their religion. This has been we've been digging into this over the last couple of weeks. I didn't realize that it was so pervasive until recently. You have our leaders saying that we have to support another country overseas while our country is basically burning to the ground. Like they have unlimited, unfettered access to capital in that country, and we have wars that we're basically fighting on behalf of them as a proxy. It's gotten to the point now where the American people are like, enough. We've seen enough death and destruction over the last 30 years. It hasn't gotten any better. We've been in now, 40 different conflicts. We're constantly, creating new enemies and getting involved in Ukraine and all this other stuff, right? And we're walking over the bodies of Americans with replacement theology in our own country to replace Americans with foreigners. Make it make sense to me.
There is no sense. And right now, there's going to be a lot more bodies to walk over here, especially in California pretty soon. Katie Grimes of the California Globe did some investigating. A lot of the policies being issued by this Air Resource Board are coming from China, out of Tsinghua University, which is also where Xi Jinping went to school. Okay, they're basing a lot of their policies that they're putting on the people, putting on the state, based off of Chinese studies and Chinese reports. So this state is going to go into a total economic collapse. You look back and I use the word unprecedented. Okay, you never had Chevron, PBF, Marathon, major corporations, especially Chevron. Everybody knows Chevron in the country. Okay, right. They're saying the same thing. They're all writing the same thing. They're saying the same thing. This is unprecedented. They have never made this type of announcement. These major companies have never gotten together like this and said, hey, we can't keep doing this. We're not going to keep doing this. It doesn't make sense. We're bleeding out hundreds of millions of dollars. You totally screwed over Valero, and we know you did. PBF basically wrote that in their letter. So when if we don't get intervention, we need intervention now first to restart Valero, because it's getting past that point of no return where it'll take months to get it back up. There's so much difference between mothballing a refinery and it just shutting down for maintenance. One thing in particular is inventory in tanks. The inventory is there in tanks to start these units back up when you're just shutting down for maintenance. $200, $300, $500 million they put into them every turnaround or more. Now these tanks are empty. There's nothing there. There's no crude oils. There's nothing to restart it. All these different catalysts that you have in these units, it's gone. There's nothing there to replace it, refill it, and restart it. And then the biggest factor of all is the qualified personnel that are no longer there to start the refinery back up. I mean, the regular refinery is difficult enough to start back up, but Valero is I call it uniquely complex because it is. Of all the refineries in California, there's few people in the world, and I'm not kidding, Joe, in the world that can restart that damn thing. So that's the problem. That's where we're at right now. If back in the 70s, we had a crude oil shortage. Yes. You had the refineries. You had 41 refineries back then in California, plus across the nation. When the crude oil came back, the refineries started back up, and they got the country back off its knees in California as well. we have any shortage caused by these geopolitical events that we're seeing, which we said, possible storms holding up tankers, which I had to deal with at Valero. Issues with the port of Los Angeles, like a cargo ship caught on fire so bad they had to pull it away from the port. And then when you reach an infrastructure limit to offload, which is where we're at, any of these type of events, and the state goes into a shortage, takes nothing to go into a severe shortage. And unlike the 70s, California doesn't have the refineries to pull itself out of those shortages. Those shortages will be long-term. There will be civil unrest like has never been seen before in this country.
Well, we see it, Mike. We already see it. We see it in L.A. I mean, look at what happened. Look at what happened in L.A. I don't know if you guys understand this, but they attacked an entire block. They had this event that they had going on, and you had these thugs out there. They broke through the deal, and they literally attacked everyone in there. Everyone. I mean, literally, it was a melee. That just happened last week.
Yeah, and things like that, it'll be commonplace, but it'll be en masse across the entire state, and in Reno and in Vegas. People are going to be you got to eat, you got to feed your family. People get desperate. We saw what happened with toilet paper. They couldn't wipe their asses. I mean, when they can't feed their family, when you can't feed your children, and food resources are limited or barely, almost non-existent, it's going to get violent. It's going to get violent everywhere.
All right, let's talk about our presence in the Middle East, and I want to draw the synergies back from there to here. You have shipping lanes that are not they're not safe, right? So they can't get the oil out. You have some attacks that are happening in certain areas. It's affected some of the oil supplies for this global economy. How do we get away from this? How do we solve? And maybe I'm asking too complex of a question that I don't know. I don't expect you to have the answer to. I certainly don't have the answer either. But how do we get to the bottom of this and get to a place where we don't have to deal with these geopolitical ramifications on top of what's happening here in the United States?
Well, what I've seen so far is obviously you got to eliminate Iran's capabilities. It seems to me with these, despite our Navy and our submarine force, it seems there has been a little bit of underestimation of their capabilities. You consider everything we've done to them, and it was 8 or 9 days this has been going on, and now they have some ability to attack tankers, to close off the Strait of Hormuz. It seems like we, underestimated one area where we needed to have a little more focus. Shutting these off, and this going back to California, this is where California is also very vulnerable because, in the past, California imported 4% of its crude oil. Now California is importing 70% of its crude oil.
7-0,
and now 3-0.
Even with President Trump in office.
Well, yeah, because they're not. Well, that's why they are invoking the Defense Protection Act to get these platforms pumping into California, which they were pumping when I ran the refinery. They were running into California. But yeah, 30% of it's coming from the Middle East. So now California is more vulnerable to the price swings because they're importing far, far more crude oil than they used to, despite the fact that we got the 5th largest reserves in the country. And then also with China supplying us with fuel, with Beijing gave an order to its refining industry, no more diesel, no more gasoline exports. The same thing with South Korea, Singapore, they get a lot of their fuel from the Middle East. So as they get cut off or the price goes through the roof, their price goes through the roof. And it's another situation where California can get cut off from the fuel that's being imported here, which puts us immediately back into that situation of a shortage. So, I mean, finish this thing off with Iran. But, our military has done a phenomenal job. And President Trump, with it and the Secretary of War have done a phenomenal job. They've eliminated, I'd say 95% of the total threat has been eliminated, and it needed to be done years ago. And our president had the courage to get it done. But we need to address this issue with the tankers. going through the Strait of Hormuz. The thing, it's fortunate that the Saudis had the foresight to run the pipeline to the western side of their country to the Red Sea, where they're starting to run like 5 million barrels a day. I think they're offloading and shipping it out. But that Strait of Hormuz, they need to look at that too. Is there anything in addition to what the Saudis are doing later on? Is there some other type of infrastructure that can be put in to make this Strait of Hormuz not quite such a critical, a critical item for us as far as affecting the entire world's economy?
Well, there's other gateways that they can use. There's other pathways they can use in order to ship the oil, other than that strait. So and this is something they had to do way back when we had problems in the late 90s and early 2000s as well. So we know that there are ways to get the oil out without having to go through those shipping lanes. But why haven't they shifted to those environments to date? Why are they waiting so long? Are they, why?
I honestly, I don't know. I know what's going on in California. Me and you both know what's going on in California with this governor, and it's starting to happen in Colorado, and it's awesome you're running for that position. Yeah. California should be producing its own oil. They shouldn't be importing anything, or we should be getting some of it from Alaska, which is what the Benicia refinery. When I ran it, we were running about 25 to 30,000 barrels a day of San Joaquin Valley crude being pipelined up to the refinery, and about 80,000 barrels a day of Alaskan North Slope crude. And then we would, get another 15, 20,000 from other sources like the Hondo, the Heritage, those platforms when they were running into California. But California has been losing its production of crude oil, losing its refineries. The whole thing's been collapsing. And again, a lot of these decrees that have been put down on the refineries are coming from the Air Board, and they're getting their stuff from studies from China. So, that that says a lot. And I think a lot of this is intentional. A lot of this is planned.
So why would they plan? Why would they plan it? I mean, Mike, why would they plan to do this to Americans? I mean, this is a rather desperate situation that's being created for millions of Americans, if not hundreds of millions of Americans.
No, they've shown a lot of desperation just for their green agenda. We're virtue signaling. We're green. Doesn't matter. All these countries, all these refineries, they pollute. I mean, why would you do it other than you're intentionally doing it? It makes absolutely no sense. None whatsoever. He's always bragging about the fourth largest economy in the world. Well, it's on its way to collapsing right now.
Well, and everyone's talking about it. The exodus from California is minus 21. So minus 21. Colorado, by the way, just in comparison, is minus 5.4. And states like Idaho are picking up the largest numbers. Idaho, Montana, South Dakota, and North Dakota, which is odd, and Texas. But Mike, we can only run away from bad policy and terrible people for so long before it collapses and we're having to deal with it across the entire nation.
That is the biggest problem with California, is it's going to translate across the nation. And that's what people in the rest of the country need to realize, especially with our military. This is the total, the whole military on the West Coast is compromised. That is a national security threat. That's why we absolutely, under that Defense Production Act.
Tell me what that means. Tell me what you mean by our military is compromised on the West Coast.
Well, no fuel. You can't get airborne. You can't move jets. The whole Navy, unless it's nuclear, it's running on jet fuel. The days of the old boiler-fired ships are gone. They're all gas turbines, or they're nuclear. So
look at what they've done to the Second Amendment rights, or stripping people of their rights and making us sitting ducks.
Yes, and the whole West Coast. I mean, God only knows what these countries like China, the CCP, and what they're planning and what they're trying to do. The domination that they're trying to achieve. But the bottom line is right now, like when Valero shut down, they supplied Travis's jet fuel. So now they're obviously trying to import it, and then we're infrastructure limited. Now, if it gets to where they have to, we get so short of gasoline, then they'll start, as it phases in, like these refineries going down, they'll bring the jet fuel in, because you'll have places like Travis saying, hey, we got to get the fuel, too bad. So what you'll end up doing is having bigger and bigger gasoline shortages, because they'll prioritize offloading the tankers that have jet fuel, which will delay the tankers that are sitting out there in the bay with gasoline. So the prices will just continue to go up. There's some photos I've seen, as high as $10.26 a gallon already. That was at an ARCO station down in LA. So the prices are going through the roof. And that you pointed out, Joe, how they're killing the folks that can least afford it. And not even that, just folks in middle class, middle income. I mean, you take the Duramax truck, you're looking at $220 to fill the damn thing up. A lot of people don't have that money to keep filling their cars and their trucks up.
All right, so tell me, everything you're saying is what everyone's feeling, but I feel like every time when we talk about all these problems, it feels like the sky's falling.
It is,
right? Okay, but we don't want it to fall, Mike. We got to figure out ways not. We got to figure out ways for it not to fall, Mike. We can't have it fall on our heads.
Well, I'll tell you, brother, I'm working as hard as I can on it. You and Tommy and everybody else that's bringing this to their platform and bringing this attention to the people. I mean, I met with Stan and the professor. I took a day of vacation and went down to the state capitol when I saw Valero was shut down, and then was blessed. Actually, I consider it blessed to be hooked up with the assemblyman and the professor. And so then we drafted. You're
talking about Assembly Member Ellis and the Professor Mitch.
Professor Miche.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I was blessed to hook up with them, and then we drafted that report. And the whole last page of that 10-page report that was published in D.C. spelled out exactly what needs to be done. And I mean, we saw a lot of these things coming. I had no idea back then it would get so bad that 3 major corporations would be dispatching letters to the state saying, if you don't change this, we're pulling every damn refinery we have out of the state. We're done. We're shutting down. Valero took a $1.1 billion loss to shut down. The state pulled them in, I think in early December, end of November maybe, and the state offered them like $220 million or $240 million, where they get that from, who the hell knows. But, they literally offered Valero a bribe. I call it a bribe. And Valero's like, nah, we're done. Thanks anyway. We're out. I think the meeting lasted about like an hour or 2 hours. And Valero headed back and said, no, we're done. We're taking our $1.1 billion loss. We're shutting down. We're leaving. Valero stock went up when they announced the shutdown. And the other thing, the one refinery that's left is Valero in Wilmington. And they've totally wrote off the value of that refinery. Right now, it's scheduled to go into a shutdown, normal turnaround mode in early 2027. They're not going to put $300 or $400 million into that refinery to open it back up. 95% chance they're going to hit the turnaround. They're going to do the bare minimum what they have to do, and it's not coming back up again.
Okay, so let's. I don't even know. I mean, we're at a very strange place with this because we recognize what the problem is. You read a report of what the outcome is going to be. The outcome is nearly essentially a given that you're going to have political unrest and that things inside of the state of California are going to erode very quickly. We saw what happened in Los Angeles just a few days ago, and the rising unrest in some of the poorest communities that already are facing food deserts, opportunity deserts, and education deserts. So are you thinking that we keep being concerned with outside attacks? Do you think they just did this on purpose internally so that we just eat each other?
Well, I always thought that was kind of the Communist Manifesto. Let it destroy itself from within. I mean, that's where it's heading, and that's where it's heading. I mean, I can't say it any more explicitly. That is exactly where we're heading. It's in plain sight. We know what the problem is. We know what we have to do to begin to resolve the problem, because right now we're on the precipice. We desperately need President Trump, Secretary of Energy Christopher Wright to talk to him. And this is exactly what the supremacy clause of the Constitution was for. A situation like this.
Mike, we can turn this entire country around if we got free and fair elections. And we have people like Senator John Thune, and we have others that are standing up that won't name names, that are betrayers to the American people. These people are absolute traitors, and we have people on our side that stand up and try to play these games as they thirstily run around talking about that they're the talking heads. And you know, some of the people I'm talking about, they don't talk in these terms. They don't give up any of their time unless they're paid for it. So you have basically the, I call it the Tallymuns. Do you know who Tallyman was?
No.
So this is a guy that was a political hack back in the 17th century that basically just whatever was popular, that was where he went. Oh, you Republicans are in office, I'm a Republican. Democrats are in office, I'm a Democrat. Right? He would just play this circus back and forth, and that's in essence what we have. We have politicians that are feckless doing the work of outside sources, and if we don't do something very quickly, the United States is actually not what's at risk. Global chaos is what's at risk.
Yes, sir. Yes, absolutely. Totally agree with you, Joe.
All right. Mike, thank you for coming on the podcast.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'll have you on again. Hopefully the next time we talk, we have a solution and they sign some things and do some things that allow for us to have free and fair elections, kick out all the government people, maybe have a 50 or 60,000 people get arrested for treason, sedition, and other things.
Start here in California.
Yeah.
Start here in California. I mean,
Mostly leaders.
Yep.
Yeah, the people are good people on both sides. And then you have the radicals that are just trash.
Yep.
All
Take
right,
care,
God bless
Joe.
you, Mike. I appreciate you coming on.
God bless you too. Bye-bye.
Mike's got a hard job. He's out there fighting the good fight, trying to tell everyone what's happening, sent this report to D.C. D.C. is basically sat on it because you have feckless retards inside of our government. They're just retarded. Yeah, they don't care. I mean, the thing about politicians is politicians are the last ones to recognize the consequences of the things that they've done. The last one. And people that are out there fighting for things like women's rights and, we got to put up pride flags and that are very selfish individually and don't care about the consequences as long as they get what they want. Those are the people that win when you have stolen elections. When elections are ripped away from the people and they basically could become serfs and slaves. And in the case of Colorado, we're on the brink of a complete collapse. And we know who the enemy is. The enemy are people of the synagogue of Satan, the judges, the lawyers, mostly lawyers. And if you go back in history 200, 300, 400 years, it's always the lawyers. It seems to always be the same people, the weak, pathetic pieces of trash that then rely or lean in on the police and others to be their hired henchmen. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about the divide. It's a lot. It's a big divide. And they divide us religiously. They rely us culturally, socially. They rely us based on geoeconomic, put us in different areas. They try to make stupid people smart and say, oh, you went and got a doctorate over here, so you're really smart. Piss off. Some of the dumbest human beings I've ever encountered in my life have PhDs. And you'd say, well, they're really smart, they got a PhD. Let me explain to you guys what it takes to go get a degree, to get a PhD. You have to study something, then you have to write a paper on it, and then you have to have this board basically say that was a good idea and you wrote a nice paper. So you got to read books and then you have to adopt a thesis or an ideology based on what you're reading, and that's how you get a PhD. It's retarded. It's retarded. I mean, most of these people couldn't find their way out of a paper bag, but they tell you that they are the intelligent ones. Eric Coomer's a perfect example. He's a PhD in nuclear engineering. He says nuclear physics, which it's not, it's nuclear engineering. But let's hypothetically say that he's really smart on that. He's mathematically smart. Here's a guy that's that smart and writes about how intelligent he is and how he wants to do harm to other people. Killing cops, assassinating the president. The people in Texas are stupid. He's above them. He is Just, he's very smart. Or people that say, I went to Yale or I went to Harvard, and I'm thinking to myself, I wouldn't hire you. More often than not, when we have people come through here, I will hire someone that does not go to an Ivy League school because, frankly, the books aren't lighter and they don't have less information in them. And I'm more likely to bring someone in who has gone through all of the work in order to be a student and to learn over and over and over again. Now, why is that important? Because this caste system has actually created people that they say are experts. So who are the experts? Who are not the experts? Who is it that we should be relying on or leaning into? It's a caste system in the United States. And in large part, that caste system is the haves and the have-nots. It doesn't mean you have to make a ton of money in order to be a haves. You just got to be deeply connected and be able to do really bad things to be a part of the crime family, or you just have a talent. Haves could be athletes. Haves are 90% of them are not going to get arrested. They're not going to get in trouble if they did something wrong. I want to put this up, and I'm going to go through some of these haves and have-nots and how just ridiculous and stupid we keep having conversations. It's just, we cater to the ridiculous. Instead of saying, get the hell out of here. I don't even care about that. Right? If you got a wiener and it swings, you're going to the men's restroom. If you don't want to use that, use the handicap restroom. There you go. It's over. Well, I don't want to go in there because it's like riding the short bus. Well, I don't want you in the women's bathroom. But I want to show you this exchange between a Democrat senator attacking a female athlete to her face for refusing to compete against a biological male. This is just how sick these perverts and pedophiles are. Play it.
I mean, I have my sports hat on now. It's all about a sports mentality, growing up in sports, being a tomboy. I mean, you look pretty healthy. I've played against girls that look like you. You look very much in shape and strong. But it's a sports mentality when you're growing up, and how much competition that you'll take on. So it's not just a silver bullet for one community of sports players. It's the individual person on how competitive you want to be. So you grew up one way, I grew up a different way. I would have taken on a man in a heartbeat. I played in, I was the only girl sometimes in men's sports. But to have a man on my team, I would have welcomed it, but this is just my opinion. So it just depends on the sports mentality of that individual. And that's why this bill is bad, because you're just putting a whole community of women's sports in one category, when women like me, we have a different opinion. So how competitive do you think you really are?
Madam Chair,
Go
Senator,
right
as elite level athletes, I would say we're very competitive, which is why this bill designates 3 categories: male, female, and co-ed. The idea is that everyone can participate in sport. If you want to compete against your man, absolutely. Like, let's do that in the co-ed section. That's the clarity and distinction is really important, because when men are allowed access into women's sports and spaces, it's not women's sports and spaces anymore. And as the passage of Title IX was so important, there is a need, a necessity to protect women's spaces. It's not to say that if people are banned from sports. That's not the situation at all. If that's the level of competition you want to have for yourself, amazing, go try it in the co-ed section. But again, this is about protecting the women's category in women's sports.
Okay. Thanks for your opinion.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your opinion. She basically said, look, if you want to dress up like a farm animal, you can go to the farm animal section over here, the co-ed section. And I actually don't care if you identify as a woman or a man. I don't care. But for somebody with a mental illness to tell me that I have to let them go into a locker room with other women, and that you have to take the rights of all of those people, throw them out the window, just to respect someone who frankly is not thinking clearly, that 40% of the time will try to do self-harm. And if you add in harm to others, it rises to almost 60%. That's not something I'm comfortable with. I don't want to take a 60% chance of something happening to people around my daughters or subject them to it inside of that environment. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that if you want co-ed, great, we have co-ed. Like that, co-ed doesn't even care if you're a man or a woman or a transgender. It doesn't matter about any of it. And I think it's amazing that Kaylee Ray said very clearly that you don't know what you're talking about, but if you want to do that, just go over here. But of course, this Democrat sicko wants to make it more about someone that was probably groomed into the environment they are over the rights of women in their own sport. And here, by the way, is a Colorado State Rep, Randy Nugent, in Colorado. Now, I said before that we're under attack, in my opinion. This is what I think, but I want you to see what Mr. Nugent did.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play it one more time. Play it one more time.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
He removed the words "under God" from the pledge. See, the radical left they've already told us what their playbook is. They want to just take from us what's never theirs to take. But this isn't even a Democrat issue. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. It is a simple issue of taking, rewriting history, telling us that the Bible says that I have to bless wars that kill tens of millions of people. I don't want to do that. In Lexington, Massachusetts, where the first shots of the American Revolution were fired, they're doing this. Public School Superintendent Julie L. Hackett sent a letter to the school building committee to approve her plan to implement all gender bathrooms at the new high school to create bathroom inclusivity. The plan specifically pushes to create affinity spaces for LGBTQ students and staff. They want to use your tax dollars to push the woke nonsense. I'm going to tell you that parents are going to have to stand up and do something about this. And the reason why you parents haven't yet done something is because of this thing called guilt. You don't want to be the one that they attack. Go ahead, take it down. You want radical ideas and people that want to hurt people. You want them to continue to, you want to be respectful of them. And I don't. I don't. Look, if you want to be a purple dinosaur, you're welcome to be a purple dinosaur. But I do not have to change an entire population, the entire society, to bend to the will of radical retards. I don't have to do it. And that's all they are. These people do not represent Republicans, Democrats, independents. They represent themselves. They're a very small sliver of society. And they use guilt and they use this psychobabble and they capture things with these criminal environments. That's why you have these criminals that are judges, that are sexual deviants, that are over and over again get 39 teachers in 2020 or 2025 get caught in Colorado that are sexually abusing students. I mean, 39. You have a better chance of being shot. You have a better chance of being sexually abused than you do of being shot. Unbelievable. Here's Democrat Rep Jasmine Crockett, who, by the way, is out. So she said, I'm open to ending taxes on blacks. Many blacks already pay none. Instead, send checks directly. Go ahead and play this.
Just this past week, I saw, I don't remember which celebrity, but it was actually a celebrity, and I was like, I don't know that that's not necessarily a bad idea, but I'd have to think through it a lot. One of the things that they propose is black folk not have to pay taxes for a certain amount of time, because then again, that puts money back in your pocket, but at the same time, it may not be as objectionable to some people about actually giving out dollars. But obviously then you start dealing with the different tax brackets and things like that. And that's one of the reasons that, you know, we argue the reparations make sense, because so many black folk, not only do you owe for the labor that was stolen and killed and all the other things, right? But the fact is, like, we end up being so far behind, right? And so it's like, how do you bring forth people? Exactly. And so it's like, if you do the no tax thing for people that are already, say, struggling and aren't really paying taxes in the first place, it doesn't really exactly.
They may want those checks like they got during COVID.
Exactly.
You're a retard. You're a retarded piece of shit. And this is Jasmine Crockett, the person that has done nothing for black people except for change the way she speaks. She never spoke like this before. She just changed it so she could get into theatrics. And then she talks about blacks and how blacks are taken advantage of. There's so much that I want to say about this. The betrayal of black people by black people is amazing to me. I want to give you some free shit so I can keep you quiet for a little bit, but I'm going to take away opportunity from you. But don't worry about it. We can have this woman up here that Jasmine Crockett, she can speak at you and talk to you in a way that you understand, because God forbid you actually get opportunity yourself. No. We're going to take someone that is highly educated, went to law school. By the way, they're all lawyers. All of these fakers and pretenders like Jasmine Crockett, they're all lawyers. Like I said, if you want to look at the downfall of society, go all the way back to what happened in the Ottoman Empire, what happened in the Roman Empire, what happened in Greece, what happened. I could go through modern examples of what has happened in the world where societies have collapsed, and it all comes back down to judges and lawyers who destroy the very fiber of society. And that's what's happening here. No exception. But this is a person that talked eloquently, was on a show, could speak articulately about a lot of different things. And then all of a sudden now she talks as if she grew up in some inner city, which she did not. But she talks about reparations for black folk. Not black folks, black folk, because you have to make sure that you stay within the grounds where you keep people where they are. God forbid you let people inside of the black community keep their babies. No, you send someone like Jasmine Crockett in there to say, hey, listen, you have a right to abort your babies. These people disgust me. Because you give free entitlements to Somalis, the Ilhan Omars of the world, billions of dollars. You saw it happen in Minnesota. It's also happening in Colorado. It's happening in every single state. Illegals are being given free health care, free child care, free education, free. And shame on me, actually. Shame on me. I contributed to it. I gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to an organization that gives people in the inner city access to private school education. I should have just gone and found families that were in the inner city that I knew were Americans and offered it directly to them. Why? Not that I don't care about every person getting access to an education, but because this piece of shit, Crockett, thinks that she wants to basically erode education, not even address it, and take away opportunities for the most vulnerable among us and say, go kill your babies, but we're going to give these people over here all the entitlements. We're going to step over you, but here, I got a great idea. Let's have you not pay taxes. And then have this is the best part, say that, well, most black people aren't paying taxes anyway, which is stereotyping that black people aren't smart enough or aren't excelling in society. Just Jasmine Crockett is. Everyone else is a ghetto rat. Just the idea of what she just said should be offensive to every black person out there. And the idea that they say that I'm going to do two things for you. I'm going to see if I can get some reparations out of these guys and make them pay. Oh, and on top of that, guess what? I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to take care of you. But on top of that, I'm going to screw you on the education side. I'm going to make it so you still live in the desert. I'm going to make it so you still don't have opportunity. And I'm going to continually remind you that it's white people over there while they're taking tens of millions of dollars. Go look up Jasmine Crockett and her net worth. Go look it up today off $170,000, $180,000 salary. Go look up her wealth. Matter of fact, I'll do it for you. Jasmine Crockett net worth. Ready? Jasmine Crockett has been she was an attorney, and I would love this. She was an attorney for about a decade, and her net worth is $9 million on $174,000 a year. Owns a $2 million townhouse. I mean, this is $9 million. She's been out in the workforce for 15 years. She's worth $9 million. And let's say that her average salary was $250,000 a year. $250,000 a year for 15 years. So and don't take out taxes, don't take out anything else. She's 250. The benefit of the doubt, she made 250 grand right out of school. 250, which is not true. Let's say it is 250 grand. That's $3.75 million. Take out taxes, that's about 45%. 1.7 million. That includes $174,000 salary that she has working in Congress. So you take that out, cut out the taxes. Let's say 40%, so you're down to what? 2.4 million, 2.2 million, 2 million? And you got to live. So let's say it's $100,000 a year to live out of that. Let's say it's $60,000 a year to live. How'd she go to be worth $9 million? See, the entire system's a grift. Black people, white people, Hispanic people, we would all love an opportunity to go 15 years and to have a nest egg for $9 million. That'd be great. It's taken me 30 years to get to a place where I was able to do really well. But no, she can do it in just a little bit of time and have all sorts of money. Let's talk about the DOJ and let's talk about all the stuff that happens as a result of stolen elections. Jasmine Crockett is out. Stolen elections are a new thing. There are lots of bad things happening all over the country. Colorado is broken in every possible way, but it's not the only state that's broken. You have Washington State that just enacted a 9.9% tax on anyone that makes over $1 million. Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, says, I'm leaving and I'm going to Florida. Everyone's going to Florida. Everyone's going to Florida. So where does that leave the states like Washington, or they'll just change their designation as far as where their residency is. But what does that leave the people that are stuck in those environments, that are held as slaves, where they just keep taking more and more money from the people, where the government has grown so big that more and more people, was it like 40% or 50% of the people are on Medicaid or Medicare? I mean, it's really bad. and the care that we do get in the United States is near substandard, almost broken to the point where you can't. I'm going through a surgery right now, and I feel like it's ration care. It's been going on now for 15 months. But the DOJ, and I want to bring it back to the symptoms. These are all symptoms of the problem where you have retards that get put into positions of power at every level of government. And they can pick it with the machines, mail-in ballots. They can pick winners and losers, and they can change the outcome of any election from town council all the way up, and they can pick and choose which ones they take. Here's the DOJ probe uncovers tens of thousands of non-citizen on voter rolls, dozens of illegal aliens cast ballots. This was just a probe, and this is just a segment that they were able to get into. The segment. And then you got this guy, Garrett Archer. He pipes in. Non-citizens registering to vote is extremely rare. The risk-reward ratio is beyond bad. So Garrett Archer tells us it doesn't happen. So I had to respond. Again, I was up at 1 o'clock in the morning. I had to do it. Let's put it up. Liar. You actually have no idea. You speak in superlatives and conjecture. You make it up as you go along. Your words are empty. You have nothing except your empty words and a pinky swear to back up your claims. You're the example of a weak simpleton traitor. There are many like you, the Talleyrand cowards, who sway with evil because you are desperate for belongings, thirsty for power, and too stupid to know where the system of evil will most certainly eat you as well. I mean, what I'm basically saying is this. They can say whatever they want. Safest, most secure election in U.S. history. Matt Crane in Colorado says, the gold standard. We have the gold standard. You have Jenna Griswold, the gold standard. Well, they hide information from the federal government and say you're not allowed to see our voter rolls. One of 25 states, all of which are tied into the ERIC system. This is the same woman that posted the passwords online while claiming that Tina Peters did all of these wrong things. You have a appeals court decision that's coming out very shortly about Tina Peters. And it's going to show you the institutional rot that we have inside of our state yet again. It never changes. It never changes until we decide to change it. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. Look, there's lots of things that are getting ready to happen. I think President Trump is going to have to pull the lever for the Insurrection Act. I think we're going to have to go into a state of emergency. We're going to have an executive order that they know is out there right now that says they're going to ban machines. The SAVE Act will ultimately either pass or it won't pass, but the people in this country have had enough. Democrat, Republican, Independents, I'm talking to all of you. I can tell you right now, you don't have an appetite for it. You don't have an appetite for what they've done to your city. You don't have an appetite with what they've taken from your pocket. Imagine if I gave you back 40% of your income. I've thought about having conversations with everyone at every one of our companies and saying, listen, I'm no longer going to collect taxes for the government. I'm going to give you all of your pay. And I keep thinking if they would go, yeah, I'd love that. I would love that. Imagine if a person that makes $60, $70, $80, $90, $100,000 a year, that instead of actually giving them, $2,500 every 2 weeks, they get to keep $5,000 every 2 weeks. What would it change for a person's life? Imagine what it would change in your life if the people that you worked for, you're like, yeah, no, don't take out any taxes. I'm not paying taxes. Imagine, I believe that's where it all starts, by the way. You want to stop, just keep your money. Just keep it. Force the company to make you a 1099 contractor and keep your money. Oh, geez. We have a breaking event happening in Colorado. Breaking event out of Greeley. Breaking event out of Greeley. Greeley Evans High School District 6, police are actively searching for staff member Brenda Meza, 34, for sexual abuse of a child. Anyone with confirmation on Meza's whereabouts are urged to contact a local law enforcement agency by calling 911 or Officer Zach Eberhard at zacheberhard@greeleypd.com or 970-502-2186. And here we have another one. We have another one. Let's go sexually abuse another child. That, I think, marks number 13. Am I right on that? Number 13 for the year so far? It's 13 or 14 this year. It was 39 last year in Colorado. Over 50 in the last 15 months. Sexually abused a child in the state of Colorado. 50. It used to be 1, 2. Now it's 50. 50. All right. Whew. All right, guys, make sure you stay prayed up. A lot of cool things are going to be happening. Okay, ready? Let's pray it out. All right, Father God, thank you for Mike coming on. Thank you for all the information we were able to push out today to all these great warriors. Father, we ask you that you will reinstill a sense of lightness to who are, lift the burdens so that we can actually get in and work the problems that we see before us. Help us to have courage, to have faith, to activate ourselves in that faith, to serve those in our community. Father, we know that it's not a Democrat or Republican issue. We know that it's an issue between good and evil. Help us that we may find our tribe of people that can set aside all the division and stand on the right side of history and stand on the right side of that line between good and evil. Father, we also recognize that our leaders are flawed and that we should pray for them. So I'm praying, Father, that they will come to their senses and do the right by their people and stop this betrayal, which happens over and over and over again. We ask you, Father, to bless President Trump in his current role as a president and commander-in-chief of our country, and help us to get to a place where we can not stand for others, but we can stand for you. Help us that we can separate the evil from good people and not put everybody in one basket. But also, Father, our leaders they're betraying us. They are deceiving us. They're using propaganda to try and run us through this environment where we have to stand up and blindly show allegiance to those we should never blindly show allegiance to. We know that the only allegiance we should have, Father, is to you. So help us that we may honor that, and we may help each other come together to say, we don't need any more wars. What we need is peace, and what we need is accountability, and what we need is a cleansing of our country, community by community, state by state, across the entire nation, that we can get rid of these evil doers that have taken from the people what was never theirs to take. Help us, Father, that as we act, that we may honor you. And I say these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, I'll see you guys on Monday. And I got a really big, exciting thing for the people of Colorado. They have the county assemblies next Saturday. It's going to be, you're not going to believe what's happening. I hope you guys all go to the county assemblies, sign up to be delegates if you're in Colorado, and share us. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. Yeah, go ahead and leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, do all the fun stuff. And I just really appreciate you guys for sending me the comments that you've been able to send me. So God bless you all. See you soon.
Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's lies, dominions deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Martin, Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night, restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us voting true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. It's our rally call. watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong. Opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam. Reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Coomer's fraud dominions, rig design, expose the stolen votes, cross the dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the blow to stay, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rising, watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Whoa, 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 whoa. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Governor Oltmann, freedom forever, Colorado, rise. Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann. Rise up untamed, in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave